Hello, Wealthy family, and welcome to today's Mindset Monday. Thank you so much for coming and sharing some time with me. I love and appreciate you all. So, today's Mindset Monday, we are going to talk about the never ending self sabotaging ways. And I wanted to talk about this again because I felt this coming up for me, and with it being Memorial Day. By the way, if you have served the military in any capacity, I don't care if you are a translator or a nurse or a teacher or a cook, it doesn't matter. Thank you for your service. Everyone has a place. It's not just those that saw combat, because relationships are formed in every capacity. And although I never served in the military myself, I do have a child that's in the military. She has a military spouse. I was a military wife for quite some times, quite some years in my life. So I do understand the inner workings of how that all goes. And every member has their role to play, right? It's like you wouldn't say, I don't need this pinky finger, and then you lose it and you're like, damn, I really did need this pinky finger, right? It all goes hand in hand. So thank you for your service. I appreciate you, and sending love, condolences, hope, and healing to those that have lost loved ones trying to serve a very ungrateful country. So today, Mindset Monday, we are going to talk about self-sabotaging ways, because like I said, I kind of experienced this again the other day, and I was like, why excuse me, am I going through this again? Why am I feeling this way? What the actual bumbleclot, right? Still fighting that. I apologize. All right, so steps to end self-sabotage. And those of you who don't know what self-sabotage is, it's when you're going after something and it's like you really want it, you really desire, and you're going after it with all your might and all your vigor, and then something triggers you to stop going after it with full fervor. It's self-sabotage is a protection mechanism. It's something that you do to protect yourself, because you're doing something foreign, it's causing stressors in your body, and now you're like, hold on, wait, maybe I shouldn't do this, maybe I should stop, I'm afraid of doing this, right? For quite some time, I was wondering why I was shying away from limelight. Why was I shying away from being, seen and on a large front? Because as a Jehovah's Witness, growing up, I used to, how do I explain it so y'all can understand? So there was a stage, and we would practice different scenarios, like going out in field service, or we would even teach lessons in play form, right? We in costume, or like role playing. We would do a lot of role playing, and you would stand up and do it in front of the whole congregation. Okay, so as a Joe Witness, I mean, I was bomb at that. Listen, once I could join, because you have to qualify and join. Once I could join and do it, like, I was always there. I loved always sitting in the front. I loved always raising my hand to give comments. I loved participating. And then after a while, I just kind of shrink back, and I had to realize what it was. I was this perfect ideal. All the moms wanted their sons to engage with me, to deal with me. I was pretty, I was smart, and then I got pregnant. And I hid it for a very long time. So when I did get pregnant and tell them, they didn't, I was like already 6-7 months, so it wasn't that much time to adjust. But that was very shameful. Being pregnant at 16, that was very shameful. And although I wasn't the only young girl in our congregation that was hunching, right, I had sex my first time and got pregnant. So although I wasn't the only one that was doing it, I was the only one at that time that got caught. Of course, after I came out with the big belly, then about a year later, like, all the girls just kind of popped out with it. It was so funny. But it was shameful, and I started sitting in the back. I started hiding myself. Then in school, I kind of started doing the same thing. I was dimming my light, and it was about maybe 5 years ago when I realized, wait a minute, me dimming my light and hiding from excuse me as I drink some tea, me dimming my light and shying away from being in the forefront really came from that experience. It came from me not wanting to be up in the front, because now or being seen, because if I do something, if I mess up, if I hiccup, now it can all be taken away. And I don't want to go through that humiliation again. So once I figured that out 5 years ago, I really started flourishing. Now you see my YouTube channel, and K Sarah Sarah, Ascending Infinite Goddess was born. But I want to talk about steps on how to end your self-sabotage. So step number 1, trigger. Identify your trigger. Your triggers are inception points, right? The point where the thing that is causing you to be uncomfortable incepts into your being, okay? Recognize what your trigger is, how it gets triggered, right? What sets you off, and then how it affects your persona, okay? That brings me to number 2. Your persona, and this does change, but recognize the persona that comes out, that responds or reacts when you are triggered. Why? What does this persona need? Why does this version of you come out when you get triggered by this certain thing? By recognizing your persona and why it is created, why you created this persona when you are triggered in this way, it'll help you deal with it. And understand that your persona can change over time. It can evolve. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Your next would be interrupting the pattern. So when you do get triggered, you normally go into a pattern. There's something that you normally do. There's something that you normally do to cope with what is happening, to make you feel more comfortable, to make you feel like you're at ease. What is it that you do? Do you shrink and hide? Do you get loud and rambunctious? Do you lash out at people? Do you drink? Do you do drugs? Like, what is it? What is it that you do? And then interrupt that pattern. When you interrupt the pattern and then reverse it, you're now healing those triggers, right? It all goes hand in hand. And then lastly, elevate. Elevate, elevate, elevate. Literally do something that helps elevate your mood. Get something tangible so that it can remind you, this is what I'm doing to help elevate myself. And when you elevate your persona, again, you are evolving that persona. You're evolving yourself, thereby you are overcoming that self-sabotaging behavior. Recognize that when you interrupt certain patterns, you are creating or you are rewiring certain pathways in your mind, certain neurological pathways that have been lit up for so long in this one particular arena. You are now rewriting it. So when you are overcoming self-sabotaging behaviors, you may have headaches. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. That doesn't mean that you're stressing out. It doesn't mean that you need to stop. You quite literally are changing certain pathways in your brain. So if you get headaches, if you feel yourself getting emotional as well, that's okay. It's a normal part of it. Don't worry about it. Just enjoy it and be welcoming to the change. Be grateful to the change. You can also introduce ask-formations into this. I spoke about ask-formations before from Neville Goddard. You can ask yourself, isn't it so wonderful now that I'm overcoming my self-sabotaging behaviors? Isn't it wonderful now that I'm experiencing life in its purest bliss? Why am I so happy? Why am I such an elevated being? When you ask yourself these things, instead of telling yourself these things, your mind will start going to overdrive, like hyperdrive. It'll start going overtime. Your brain will start to say, oh, why are we doing this? Yeah, why are we doing this? Hold on, wait a minute. Right? Start computing different things to figure out the answer, to give it to you. Even if it's not accurate at the point in time to your physical being, your mind doesn't know that. Your mind doesn't know the difference. So when you ask these questions of yourself, you're feeding it these powers, okay? And then the last step to overcome self-sabotaging ways, excuse me, your why. What is your why? What is your biggest why? And be real about it. It's okay if your why changes. It's okay if your why was once pleasing your spouse and then you all got a divorce and now it's going to change. It's okay if your why is because you want to have more money, because you want to have more freedom. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually quite normal. It's okay if your why is because you want to prove people wrong, because you want to prove yourself right, because you want to prove that you're not crazy. But once you figure out your why and you move in that direction, you're moving with a different energy because you're moving with laser focus. You're moving with laser focus on your why, on what it is that you're doing. Okay? So, that is that, wealthy family. That's all that I have for you today. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Be safe out there. Love each other. Be graceful with each other because we're all dealing with things. Oh, and little one woke up. Right? We're all dealing with things, and you don't know the next person's story. You only know what it is that you're presented with. A lot of us are walking around with a lot of secrets, a lot of things that are hidden. So be graceful with each other. Until we connect again, stay alert, stay aware, and live in love.